All right, so the question for today is conditioning important for the martial arts? So the direct question was about, some people kicking concrete and iron with their shins, and basically what I think about that. Um, I think you got to be smart with the way that you condition, because you have to put in consideration your health and your longevity, and you have to put your health as number one priority. Because in real martial arts, the whole objective is to um, extend your life, to live longer and healthier. So if you damage your body, uh, then it's going against that, especially if you do it long term. So I would say that the utmost worst thing to do would to be sustaining brain injuries like concussions, and basically taking shots to the head, um, with intent, with purpose, and basically feel that you're a tougher person, or that you're going to be more effective by being able to take a hit to the face, hard hits to the face. And I feel that that is not supposed to be something that you should be doing. It's just not healthy, and it's not an intelligent way to train. Now, when it comes to the shin, I personally don't do that much of that type of training. I mean, I do train my shins a little bit, but I don't need to, kick iron and and things like that. I personally don't think it's necessary, especially when you have, the ability to wear shoes. You could use your shoes to your advantage to give you an edge on the streets. You know, um, you could use your shoes as a way to protect yourself, and almost as like a weapon. And also when you kick with your shoes, you have more range. When you kick with your shins, there's less range. So the shoes are naturally built to be strong, and if you want stronger shoes, more powerful shoes, then you could buy specific shoes that will give you more of an advantage out there in the streets. So that in a way could be used to your advantage, and there's just no extra training that you need to do. You just simply get used to wearing the shoes that you want to wear on the streets, and if something happens, then you could use that to your advantage. That makes the shin training to me unnecessary. But it's good to always get at least some training in the shins, because especially when you spar, sometimes you clash shins with the person that you're sparring with, and you don't want that to take you out of the fight. So I would say that it's important, but it shouldn't be overemphasized. Um, but that's just my opinion. Some other people that practice like Muay Thai or whatnot, or kickboxing, they may prefer to train the shins to be extra powerful, because in those competitions they're not allowed to wear shoes, and they're going to use that strong shin bone to their advantage to knock out the opponent. And that's their prerogative, that's what they want to do, and they have their reasons for why they do that. But that's just not the way that I train. For the way that I train, I would train the fist to be very strong, because the objective is to use your bare fist and your bare knuckles to defend yourself on the streets if you had to, and then to use that as a weapon against the attacker. But this all still puts in consideration your health and your safety, and you got to think about the long-term effects and what it could do to you if you train and you keep hitting your shins really hard, or you keep training your shins really hard, and then all of a sudden you can't walk when you get older, then that's not going to be a good thing. Or you can't run, or you can't do certain activities anymore because your shins are too damaged, then I wouldn't say that that's a good thing. So it's just basically, doing your research to make sure that what you're doing is safe for your body. Um, but it's going to be a lot safer to train the shins and the fists and the arms and the legs than it will be to take repeated blows to the head and to damage your brain. The things about the bones, sometimes they do grow back stronger, but when it comes to the brain, that type of injury, it doesn't heal. It gets worse, progressively worse and worse as time goes by. So that is very serious. So I would say that nobody should be doing that type of training where they purposefully take damage to the head in which to get concussions and things like that. Even getting hit in the stomach, yes, you should be able to take, punches to the stomach, but you also have to be very careful with that training as well. If you do your research, you'll find out that Houdini, the magician, actually died from taking too much damage to the stomach. There was this really strong person that was repeatedly hitting Houdini in the stomach, and he wasn't ready for it, and that's pretty much what ended up killing him. So it's very serious. You have to be very careful with that type of training. Make sure you're doing it properly, and that you are prepared, and that you're ready for the strike, and that you don't go too hard, too fast, and that you progressively build yourself up to get stronger and stronger. So then you're able to withstand more pain if a situation arises where you did get hit in the stomach. You also got to be very careful with the liver as well. If you get hit in that area, it could cause some serious damage. So a lot of the martial arts training is really getting to know the body and what is a good way to train, an intelligent way to train, a smart way to train, and what is not a good way to train. So a lot of times you would need the guidance of a master, a Sifu, a professional that knows what they're doing. So then they train you properly. So then in which to extend your life and not shed away years from your life and, sacrificing your health and, getting dementia or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or whatever serious brain injury that you could get. This CTE stuff is very serious. If you don't know about it, then just go ahead and do your research, and you'll find out how serious this stuff is. And you just got to put in perspective. Martial arts, it can be a beautiful thing if you train properly, but if you don't train properly, then it could be something where you would have been better off not training in the martial arts and doing something else that's better for you. So it's all about training smart, and that's what I recommend. Also, I think that people do kick iron and whatnot with their shins simply because not a lot of people can do that, and not a lot of people would do that, and that might be one of their marketing tactics to get a lot of attention and get recognition. Some people might even get famous over it, and that's probably why they do it. Everybody has different skills and talents, so one person might bench press a lot of weight, another person might be able to squat a lot of weight, somebody else could do a lot of handstand push-ups, somebody can do like amazing backflips, somebody else could do a lot of pull-ups, somebody could run a mile really fast, somebody could run really fast, somebody could jump rope really well. And when it comes to these people that kick like iron and things like that, that's probably just what they're good at, and they're highlighting their strengths and their skills, and they're getting recognition and attention over it. And if they start making money and they start building a reputation over it, then that's the reason why they do that. But it doesn't mean that everybody should do that. or that it's going to be healthy for everybody. Just even some of these stunts, for example, Jackie Chan did his own stunts, but there's a lot of people out there, and he got hurt a lot. He broke every single bone in his body pretty much, and he almost died doing a few stunts. But there's other people out there that try to do what he does, and they actually do die. There's actually a video out there that happened relatively recently, within about a year or two, where there's this Chinese guy who pretty much was doing, stunts, and he would go up to the buildings and do like hang on the side of the building and do pull-ups and things like that. And he filmed himself doing this, and then he died. He slipped off the edge of the building. He passed away, and that was all caught on camera. So this is serious stuff. You have to be careful, and what you're willing to do to get attention and get recognition. I also read an article just yesterday where this Instagram, influencer, loves to take a lot of selfies, and she's like a blonde woman that's like pretty, and she would she ended up passing away because she was taking a selfie on a cliff, and then she fell off the cliff and she died. So there's a lot of stories like that. You can find a bunch of articles of a bunch of people that has died taking selfies, basically risking their lives, risking their safety to get attention on social media. And there's people that do some crazy stuff out there to get attention. So you just have to be aware of that and try not to fall into that trap. Really, is it worth your life to lose your life over a selfie? Is it worth like not being able to walk, when you're 50 or 60 years old because you're kicking a piece of iron? You have to think about these things and, make the right decision for yourself. As far as like even people that decide to play football or get into boxing, these are some serious sports that can damage your health, pretty significantly. So, I know as a parent, I'll make the decisions for my children and what is safe and healthy for them. But once you turn 18, you start making your own decisions, then I would say that you just make the best informed decision as you possibly can, and put in consideration your health for not just the present moment, but for the future. And also about, think about the people that you will be affecting in your future, if you have kids and things like that, or your parents, your siblings, your friends, your family. Just think about all those things before you make certain decisions to do certain things. There's other ways of getting attention that do not involve risking your life. This person did not have to hang off the edge of a building to do pull-ups. He could just did regular pull-ups on a pull-up bar. I would have been impressed if I saw him did like 50 pull-ups or something. Like, you don't need to do pull-ups on the side of a skyscraping building and then fall to your death to get my attention or anybody's attention, in my opinion. People that can kick iron and kick concrete, whatever. That's them. There's their decision, but that's not something that I would really do. I don't want to break my bones. I know the limitations of the body and what it can take and what it can't. And I respect the body, and I know that I'm not superhuman. Certain things that I won't be able to do. And I'm all about protecting the body. So when I train in the martial arts, I really want to get good at the skill set, so then I don't get hit, and that I'm the one who's hitting them and they're not hitting me. So I really admire, the martial artists and certain boxers that are able to perfect that skill. And I keep trying, for many years to try to master that skill set. So then I will be able to protect my safety, not just for now, but for my entire life. So one of my goals is definitely to live, a healthy life until I'm well over 100 years old, so that's my opinion on that. Shout out to Oliver. I'm 38 years old right now. All right, so somebody keeps asking about the chair pulling prank. I'll try to remember to do another one of those videos. All right, somebody asked why I turn the comments off. Is basically to protect the emotional and mental well-being of the children or the underage individuals in the videos, and also just to protect the people in general from online bullying. Okay, the question is Kung Fu defense or offense? I would say that it's the balance of both. That's why it's represented by the yin yang. So the yang, the yin come together in balance. So yang is the offense, yin is the defense. And it's got to be a balance of both in order to be truly in harmony. And like, yes, you could be great in defense, but if the person is overly aggressive and they keep attacking you and you just keep blocking and evading, eventually they're going to hurt you. So the offense is needed against people that are too aggressive. Then you need to throw in a few attacks in order to counter them and to get them to stop attacking you. So it's an art where you would hide the offense with your defense. So meaning you're not supposed to be aggressive. You're supposed to be just at ease and not bothering anybody, not starting any fights. And then when the person keeps coming at you with aggression, then the offense could come out. But you want to try to avoid fights as much as you can and definitely not provoke them. But if the person just keeps being aggressive towards you, then you have no choice but to be offensive back. So you think about defense, think about like a gunfight, and say the person has, you know, a firearm that carries 15 rounds, one in the chamber, so 16, and then say he has two more clips, another 15 rounds each. So he literally has 46 rounds. And then say there's a gunfight and he shoots first, and you have your gun on your side, and say you have 15 rounds, he has 45, and there's a gunfight, he shoots at you first, he misses, and then he continues to shoot you. You grab cover, Say you hide behind a car or something, or you hide behind something to protect you, and then all of a sudden, he keeps shooting, and eventually, if you don't shoot back, because he has 45 rounds, there's a good chance that he's going to shoot and kill you. But if you do shoot back to defend yourself against his attack, and say he shoots out 4 rounds and he misses all 4 times, you shoot him 1 time and you stop the threat. You saved your life. So that's kind of like Kung Fu. It's a combination of the offense and defense. It's not that you shot at him first or you started the fight. I mean, this person just came violently at you, started shooting you, and you can't block bullets with your arms, and you could only hide for so long before he gets to you. So eventually you're going to have to shoot him to stop the threat. So that's why offense is important as well. You can't just defend all the time. And if all you do is offense and you never defend, that's like somebody who's just overly aggressive and somebody who's just a violent person. And that's not what Kung Fu is about. It's not about people that are bullying people. It's not about people that start fights, that provoke fights, that enjoy fighting, that enjoy seeing other people in pain. It's not about that. It's like the opposite of that. You don't want to fight, you hate fighting, and you don't like seeing people in pain. But at the same time, you don't want to be hurt yourself, and you don't want your loved ones to be hurt. So you have to defend them, and you have to defend yourself. If somebody keeps coming at you with violence, then they leave you no choice but to fight back. And that's what Kung Fu is about. It's about that balance. All right, so the next question is, how do you make a powerful punch? There's a lot of training involved. I would say being fit really does help. The more fit that you are, the better off that you'll be. But not just fitness, but people that have more weight to them will end up naturally having more power because of that weight. And if more of that weight is muscle, then that will work to your advantage. But if you have too much weight and too much muscle, then that could slow you down, and that could affect the power as well and lessen the power. So the key is to have the right combination of weight and speed. So if you have speed and you have weight and strength, like muscle, then you could develop like total power output. So it's all about finding that delicate balance. Like essentially, for example, you got bodybuilders that might be like super big, super strong, a lot of muscle mass, but it doesn't mean that they could punch hard, because they don't know how to properly use their body weight to transfer that energy into a punch, and they don't have the technique down. And in addition, their mechanics could be off, their flexibility could be off, and also their speed could be completely off. So meaning, like, for example, if you have like those runners in the 100-meter dash, like Usain Bolt and like say Justin Gatlin or whoever else that's really good at running the 100-meter dash, you look at their bodies, like they're strong, they're powerful, and they're fast. And that's essentially what martial artists have to be in order to punch hard or punch very powerful. Now, just because somebody is like a bodybuilder and he could lift more weights and squat more weights than Usain Bolt, doesn't mean that he's gonna be able to run faster than Usain Bolt, and doesn't mean that they're gonna be good runners. So there has to be a balance between like muscle mass and speed. So you need both, and if you just have speed and you don't have enough muscle, then that's going to limit your power. If you only have muscle and you don't have enough speed, then that's going to limit your muscle as well. So people that don't have much muscle but they have weight, then that weight can be transferred and turned into power. So that's why you can see people that are heavy set, that are maybe 250 pounds, 270 pounds, maybe even 300 pounds, and they could punch really hard because they've learned how to use that muscle mass and to turn that into punching power by distributing their weight properly. So basically, um, those are the components that are important. Um, People might not notice, but leg strength is very important as well, because the energy from the punch comes from the ground. That's where it starts. It doesn't start from the upper body, it starts from the lower body. So that's why I see a lot of martial artists that practice a lot of horse stances and squatting techniques, and a lot of low stance work, because you need to learn how to transfer that energy from the ground up. So it starts from the lower body, so you need strong legs. And then the upper body, like, you need strength the upper body, but it's not like you need that much strength. Like you don't necessarily have to bench press a lot of weight or do um like a lot of heavy weightlifting, because essentially when you have too much muscles, that could slow you down and that could affect the power in the punch. But essentially it's leg strength, a lot of core strength. Like you got to have a very strong core, because it starts from the legs, but the energy from the floor to the legs goes to the core, and then the core transfers that energy up to where the arms are. So your whole body has to be fit. Even your fists need to be strong, because if your fists are not strong, then that's going to affect the power output. And your wrists need to be strong, because if your wrist is broken or it hurts a lot or it's sprained, then that's going to affect the power as well. So your fists got to be strong, your wrists got to be strong, your forearms need to be strong, your arm muscles need to be strong, your core muscles, your chest muscles, your back muscles, your leg muscles, your calves, your feet need to be strong, your ankles. Like if your ankle's broken, your ankle hurts, you're not gonna be able to deliver much power. Like even your toes, if your toe is broken, it's gonna affect your power. Like every little thing matters. Your finger, if your finger is broken, it can affect your power. Basically, your whole body needs to be trained, and to be highly efficient. Like what Bruce would say, like very, very efficient in everything. And once you're at extreme level of efficiency, as far as having the right amount of muscle mass in comparison to your speed, then it's about learning how to transfer that energy from the ground to your fist. And that's a lot of technique training and learning how to move your hips properly, how to use your legs, um, how to punch properly. And so it's a lot of training involved, like constantly punching, um, punching from different angles, and also aiming at various different targets at different levels. So that's what martial arts is all about. A lot of it is about learning how to use your body to use all the weight in your body to deliver force, opposed to just using one part of your body, like just your limb. So that's my feedback. It's a lot of training involved, not just weight training, calisthenic training, but a lot of punching and things like that, over and over and over again. When you hit the punching bag over and over, you should be able to feel the power, but behind each attack, like which one's a soft one, which one's a powerful one. So do a lot of training, do a lot of punching with the heavy bag, and conditioning with the fists. Get the wrist to be strong, and get the entire body to be strong. All right, so next question is, what do you think about Krav Maga? I've practiced it for about 9 years. So, I can't say anything bad about any art, honestly, because I don't know everything. So, and from what I know about Krav Maga, it's very limited information. I haven't met that many people that practice it, and just a few. And I know that it's pretty popular in certain areas. They have some Krav Maga centers in Chicago as well. And it's hard to comment on something that you don't really know that much information about. But what I've heard is like it's something about the Israeli military, and what I've heard is that it incorporates techniques that are very like very like just hands-on, kind of like gruesome techniques that are just like survival, and to the point where it's not necessarily civilian survival but more like military survival, where the techniques are designed for like prisoners that are being like escorted, and they need to just like attack and take out the threat as quickly as possible. So it's like a military setting type of techniques, where you would utilize whatever necessary at that moment to take out the opponent. And it's that's what I've heard about it. And it's a pretty extreme type of art, where um, they do whatever it would take to survive. So meaning, if I use this pen right here, I might stab somebody in the eye with the pen in order to take them out, and it would be things like that. And I mean, I think the concept of it can be very, very effective, because it's focusing on things that are for survival, and I'm all about that. Like, I'm all about survival training and doing what you absolutely need to do in order to survive a dangerous situation. And I like arts that focus on that, because to me, like, it keeps things more grounded and more realistic, opposed to just imposing a bunch of rules upon rules upon rules, until you get further and further away from the truth and reality of like real combat. I don't like that. I like the real techniques that really work. So I think in Krav Maga, they would teach you to kick the person in the groin, or punch them in the groin area, or grab their groin area, and like, pull their hair, or bite them, or grab them. I like that. I like that type of training. To me, that's similar to what Bruce would do. But to me, Krav Maga is more designed for the commoners, or like more of the people, that the general population, that's easier to learn these types of techniques, that are survival techniques. But it's different in Jeet Kune Do, because in Jeet Kune Do, it's designed not just this. Jeet Kune Do is more designed for like the advanced like martial artist that's been wants to master the martial arts, where they not only can survive like a, 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 a dangerous situation, but they can also spar against some of the best martial artists in the world and still come out on top. So it's different. There's difference between training for survival and training to be a master in the martial arts. So meaning like Krav Maga might be like, hey, just kick them in the balls or just break their kneecap. But it's easier said than done when you're trying to do that against a martial arts master. So then it will incorporate, if you're sparring against a martial arts master, you need to incorporate techniques that are going to be a lot more difficult to learn than just breaking somebody's kneecap. Like you need to like master the art of like defense and evasion and like reaction time and like optimum speed in your punching and your kicking, and you incorporate like hook kicks, high kicks and high kicks and low kicks and all sorts of different kicks to kind of try to confuse the opponent and punch them at different angles and just kind of like wear them down in certain ways. And it's different. It's like it's very much strategic, and it's like refining techniques in which to master them, where I feel that Krav Maga is more like the basics of survival for the general population of what they would need to know in order to survive like a dangerous situation on the streets. Like meaning like maybe a woman's getting raped or something, or a man's getting attacked by two people and he just needs to do what he needs to do to defend himself. It's different type of training than somebody who masters like the ability to like outspar like another martial arts practitioner that's been training for like over 10, 15, 20 years. To me, it's like when you practice, like say Krav Maga, and then you could handle yourself against a lot of people that don't know martial arts. But if you try to spar against somebody who's been training just as long as you, or maybe even longer than you, and he might even be stronger than you, he might be taller than you, he might even be faster than you, then you have to really like you really have to train really really hard in like certain techniques that are beyond just survival, but these are become more tactical techniques in which to outdo this martial arts practitioner who's been doing it very long, because every single trick that he knows as well. So what would normally work against an average person doesn't work against him. So you need to learn other techniques that will work against him, and those techniques end up being techniques that are not necessarily survival techniques, but more so techniques that are designed for sparring against other martial artists that are at a very high level. So it's different in that respect. And as far as what I know for Krav Maga, I would say what I think that it might be lacking in, because I don't know much about it, but from my opinion, it could be lacking in the spiritual, it could be lacking in the meditation, where it's not grounding the people in the Eastern philosophy and teaching them like when is a good time to fight, when is not a good time, and also like being able to control this ego and knowing where to draw the line and how far you're going to let the ego go, and how much and how you're going to express it, like your thoughts and your place in this world, like do you feel like you're special, above other people, or are you truly a humble person? Are you somebody that is perceived as like an arrogant person, or somebody who thinks that he actually thinks he's better than other people? Are you like a very competitive person? Are you insecure, with yourself? Are you somebody who seeks and craves a lot of attention from others? And like, how do you conduct yourself in your daily lives? eh, you know, not just within the martial arts school, but outside the martial arts school as well. how do you treat people? How do you think of yourself? Where's your confidence level? Like diving into the spirituality, the martial arts, and I don't think that Krav Maga does that. I think that might be where they don't really focus on that, and I think that might be where it might be lacking. You know, but as far as the grittiness of like just real self-defense techniques, I think that it has that, of which a lot of martial arts don't have that. So meaning like it wouldn't be common to go into taekwondo school and then they're like teaching you how to break a person's kneecap or kick him in the groin area or to chop him in the throat or stab him in the eye with a pen or something. It wouldn't be common for them to teach that to you in a taekwondo school. But in Krav Maga, that's something that I believe that they would teach the people, because that's the stuff that would work during these serious situations, um, and as far as the fitness is concerned, I don't know how much they value the fitness and how much energy they put in it, but I think that that's very important, the fitness aspect, and they would need to integrate that into the training in order to make it completely holistic. Um, but I think that that's what it is. As far as what I know about it, is focusing on that area of like just survival training, and most systems will focus on some area, and they're not going to be able to teach everything, because it's just hard to market that, you know. And I understand that because I'm running a school and I see how difficult it is. Um, it's extremely difficult to teach martial arts in its entirety. Most systems, most schools, most places will focus on one area and help the people get good at that one area, because for the most part, most of the people that join, they got jobs, they got full-time jobs, they're busy, they got families, kids are in school, they got other things that are important for them, so they barely have enough time to focus on that one area. You teach them like punching techniques, and they're so focused on the punching techniques they don't even have time to learn kicking techniques. They don't got time to learn wrestling techniques. They don't got time to learn joint locking techniques. They don't got time to learn how to use a bow staff or a nunchuck, or to use size, or to use double sticks. They only have enough time to just work on that one area that you're teaching, and then if they have any other time left, then they might have some extra time to exercise. And then most people just don't even have time for martial arts at all, and all they do is just exercise, and that's it. So it's hard to just bring everything together and have people value that, because most people just don't even have the time and commitment or even the motivation to train in all those things. So I could understand why every single style out there ends up imposing their own limitations, because they're like, you know what, this is what's working, this is what's selling, this is what people are coming to us for, so this is what we're going to end up specializing in. And it's just how businesses are. If you're at McDonald's and they're trying to sell salads and nobody's buying it, then they just be like, you know what, we're gonna have to stop selling salads because nobody's even buying them. The salad's just rotting there in the corner. They have to sell. They're gonna sell what people buy. And that's what makes the business successful. You don't see McDonald's selling fried chicken or spaghetti, or selling like you know just like like Subway sandwiches or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have their focus, they have what they specialize in, and in order to operate a business and make it successful, you need to have your specialty. Because if you don't, then that's one sure way to go out of business pretty quickly. So it's very understandable why a lot of these styles will focus on certain things and not really put much time into other things, because that's how businesses are run. And you even see it on the YouTube channels, like the channels that keep focusing on something specific. You know, you don't have channels out there that just teach everything. You know, it's impossible to teach every single thing out there. You know, you got certain channels that are focusing on cars, other channels that are focusing on sports, other channels that focus on teaching people how to be good at basketball. You know, some channels teach um, people how to speak a certain language. um, some channels teaching people like how to be fit, other channels teaching people how to eat properly, how to eat healthy. I mean, it's just, it's a common marketing tactic to find what you're good at and to go towards that. And that's why the styles are the way that they are. And that's why, when somebody like Bruce Lee comes in, he says, you know what, every single style is limited. And he's right. Every style is limited. And there's a reason why. It's because of business and what makes a successful business. If a certain style stayed, alive for like over 50 years, over 100 years, over 200 years, obviously they've been doing something right, because they lasted for that long. And the reason why they lasted for that long is because they chose to specialize in something. If you choose not to specialize in anything, then yeah, you might have a very complete art to share, but if there's no one to share it with, then it's gonna die off, and then you're gonna be forgotten. Because people just don't have the time to learn everything. You need to focus on something, and it's the same thing with college. You have to pick a major. You can't just go in college and be like, hey, I'm just gonna major in every single thing that's available. You need to pick a major and then go towards that. So it's the same thing with the martial arts. Every single style has what they focus on, and then there's going to be some people that have the time to study more than one style, more than one way, and then they can start integrating different ways in which to end up maybe creating their own way. But even if you do create your own way, how are you going to spread that way, and to teach that way? And you're still going to encounter the same struggles, the same challenges, finding enough people to value your art, in which to study it, to learn it, and to promote it and market it, not just for a few days, for a few weeks, but for like years and years and years, and maybe even their entire life, in which to spread that method. And then you're starting from the ground up, and you might be doing great, but you might last 5 years, 10 years, but the 15 year comes along, and then you might go out of business, and then your whole art was forgotten. Nobody even remembers what you created and what you did. I mean, that's the difficulties of trying to create something new, and to teach something new, and to get a whole population of people interested in what you do. It's extremely difficult. So that's why, there's styles out there that's been around for hundreds of years, is because they chose to focus on something. And when you choose to focus on something, there's a lot more likely for, you know, that business, that art to succeed, for the long run. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that one. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right there. I want to thank everybody for all your support out there. If I didn't get to your question, I'm sorry about that, but maybe I will get to it next time. So everybody, take care.